Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of American Legends and Myths with Layla Shaky. This week we're going to be discussing the Dogman. Uh, I know that's a broad topic, but uh, and I'm sure we're going to get a lot of feedback on this one. The Dogman's a subject a lot of people are involved in, and by no means are we experts. We're only discussing this as two people being friends discuss it and their possibilities and whatever we think it might be here. So don't hold what we say into concrete. We're just chatting. We're
We're
just
just
chatting about the
but
dog man. I never heard of the dog man until after 2000, and I've been researching Bigfoot for 25 something years, I guess now. But I never heard of the dog man until sometime after 2000, and it wasn't until it was the Beast of Bray Road is when I first heard about it,
yeah,
but I'd never heard about it before then. So it's kind of weird, and evidently it has been around before then, but its popularity, I guess, hasn't been as well known.
I think maybe in the earlier years it was more referred to as a werewolf, maybe.
Yeah, now I've heard growing up you watch werewolf movies, the Wolfman, Lon Chaney Jr.
And that kind of thing,
The
and
look
then
the
maybe
Rugen, which is something I'm sure we'll get into also down the road as another
yeah,
thing.
the Ruga, yeah.
Um, yeah, you know, as far as the dog man, being in, I believe it's Wisconsin and Michigan, and I think even down in Texas they've had sightings of it. I have a theory about the dog man. It's just a theory, but it is what it is. But we have so many sightings of Bigfoot. I mean, we have thousands of sightings of Bigfoot, but I don't think the dog man is that high of a number. I think it's if it's in the high hundreds or low thousands at that. I don't even think it's
I'd
in the
say
thousands.
thousands because there are a lot of sightings, but not as many as Bigfoot. But then again, some people um feel like perhaps the dog man and Bigfoot are related in some
Now,
form
see,
or
that's
fashion.
me. Me, just my personal opinion. I believe the dog man is a type of Bigfoot. I believe just like you have the baboon that has a snout, has the pointy ears, a canine look to it. That's what I believe the dog man is. I believe it's actually a Sasquatch that's being misidentified, and that's just my opinion. But I was talking to somebody one time about the tracks, and they said, the tracks. I've seen two different tracks. I've seen wolf tracks, and then I've seen the Bigfoot tracks. And I asked somebody, well, what's the difference? And they said claw prints. Well, to me, a human type print with claw marks in it, that's a bear track. That
Yeah.
Now if it's in an area where there are no bears, I can't explain that. But as far as if there's bears in the area, that to me is a bear. I mean, bears can get up to a 11-inch or better track, believe it or not. The black bears can get quite big.
hmm
So, uh,
I, I don't know. I think that well, it seems to me, and I may not be correct. Like we've said, we're not experts. We don't know. We're just speculating. But doesn't it seem that the dogman tracks are like when they stand up, their hind feet are still dog like, but their front feet can be more hand like.
well, then that means it wouldn't be a bipedal animal. That means it would be primarily all fours. All right. Look at this. If you have a pet, like I got my little dogs in the house, they will stand up
Yeah.
and walk for a treat, but they
Yeah.
can't walk very far on those two legs. They're not designed to walk bipedal on those two legs.
Like a bear.
Yeah,
They can
actually, a
stand.
bear can actually walk further on two legs because they have a bigger foot than a dog can. The dog only has that little pad to walk on, that little paw to walk on. And
Let's,
if you take an animal and have it run through the forest on two legs, I can't see it doing it on a paw that's like a wolf's paw or a dog's paw because it's not designed for that. You know what I mean? Now Sasquatch, they have feet like ours, and our feet are designed for bipedal walking and running. So I understand how that can happen. So that's why I lean more towards it being like a Sasquatch than I do an actual dog.
Well, I agree with that. I agree with that too. Um, because Sasquatch run on all fours.
Yeah, they've been seeing the knuckle walk just like an ape does. Yeah, you're exactly right. They have been seen
They
it run like that.
run on all fours, and they also stand and walk and run on two, which the Dogman could very well be doing the same thing. But yeah, I do agree with you. If they're just on dog pads,
Now
that might.
there was a guy that had a bunch of stuff in his yard, an old snowmobile, an old 70 something truck, and a ghillie suit, and he had an old black and white film camera. I don't know if you remember this or not, but he actually
Seen
made a
it
video,
done,
and
and
then
he
he put these
did
body
a
parts
great,
out there, and people thought that
great
was
video.
real. People really thought that was, and they still are. That video is still going around. I saw it like 2 weeks ago, and people were
I
like,
know. It looks great. He did a wonderful job,
"Okay,
but it isn't real.
hmm.
But and he's admitted it wasn't and told how he did it and all of this. But it was really good.
He did a good job of getting on all fours and running too. I couldn't believe how he got down on all fours and ran and moved as fast as he did, being a human
Exactly.
on four legs. That surprised me down
He,
the.
he bounced and romped like a dog or something.
Yeah.
I don't know how he did it either, unless he was in some super good shape and really practiced it.
Mm.
Yeah, but we know that was not a real video, but he did a great job. Yes, he did.
Yeah. And people there's people that say they've seen him looking in windows, or and described it as being looking hungry. Well, a wolf. If a wolf's hungry enough and he's looking for something to eat, there's no reason why he wouldn't jump up and look in a window. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say that they don't exist. I mean, I know I'm going to sound really messed up saying this, because to me, what we believe and don't believe is only as far as our brains will allow us to believe. Logic,
Right.
you know. Do I believe a dog man exists? No, I don't believe it's a dog. Do I believe that there's a Sasquatch that is canine looking? That yes, yes, but that doesn't mean I'm right.
Well,
Doesn't mean I'm right in any way.
there are the four what's the word? Not stages, the four
Clans,
types.
the clans, what they call the
Yeah,
clans.
or the four types
Yeah.
of Bigfoot. And two of them are more Dogman like, two of them are, and they're kind of mixed in between the four. And some researchers say that the Dogmen look out for the baby Bigfoot and babysit and that kind of thing. I don't know. I'm just repeating, what I've heard, but I do agree. I feel like they could very well be the same, in the same group, in the same bunch, in the same family line, if you get what I'm saying.
Well, we know this, and I can pretty much say this for a fact that you can't have a human dog hybrid. I just don't see
No,
that happening. I don't
no,
see how it can be possible.
no.
So, how could this thing originate, or where could it have originated from? It's not going to branch off from the wolf. What did a wolf all of a sudden just all of a sudden somewhere evolve into standing up and walking on two legs at some point in time, or
I
I just
don't
don't
know.
get that.
I think that gets us into the Nephilim theory and Egypt and the ancient gods and whatever. Remember, they had the
Well, you go
hieroglyphics.
there, you're right, because if you go there, there's a lot of hieroglyphics that show dog men feet.
That's right.
So I'm not an archaeologist, and I've
The
never studied
Nephilim
into that.
theory is that the gods bred with people and animals on Earth, or I'm not educated enough about all of it to, that I
Uh,
want to state my opinion, because, you know, but, that's what where did they come from? Unless they are and could be a branch of Bigfoot.
I think they go back too far to rule out any kind of government genetic thing because I think they've even had sightings back in the 1800s.
I think so too.
But, it just seems to me they all of a sudden popped up at some point, and I just it just for whatever reason I can't comprehend where or why or how. I just now if the Sasquatch are just getting are just becoming seen that resemble this thing, well then it may explain something. You know what I mean? They've been elusive, and we just now
Yeah,
maybe there's not very many of those type of Sasquatch, so you're only seeing a few of them. You know what I mean? It's
exactly.
uh,
Maybe it's that it's scarier even than Sasquatch.
yeah.
And people keep it to their, because, it's just been in the last really 10 and 20 years that people have started to admit more and more that they have seen a Sasquatch.
Well, that's because of social media. The more social media has become prominent, the
Well,
more people can say. Before you had social media, you had the news or you had newspaper. When you go back to the 1800s, unless you read a newspaper from a certain town that you were passing through, you may not have even heard of a sighting or something. It traveled
exactly.
word of mouth. It wasn't. The
But
social media has caused an explosion.
it was only the 60s and the 70s that Bigfoot really came out. We didn't have social media then, but books began to be written and little films began to be made and that kind of thing. And now with the social media, and it's not such a stigma, Steve, quite anymore. If you go on Facebook and say, I think I saw a Bigfoot last night, you might get some negative feedback, but more people are apt to say, "Oh my God, oh cool, how was it? What did it look like?" Whereas back in the day, you were considered, a crazy idiot and disregarded.
But back in the '70s, you could find books and articles on Sasquatch, Bigfoot, whatever, but you didn't see hardly anything, if anything, on a dogman.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? It's not like until the '80s or from the '80s up that these things have really popped up in in sightings or
maybe
it just
maybe it's because they are seem to be more evil or more scary even than a Bigfoot, and there's not much out about them, and so people are just now starting to share. I don't know. I'm just speculating. But
I wonder,
they
like
have,
the Laruglaroo or whatever, however you pronounce that, Laruglaroo. You know, is that a was that a dog man that's being seen in Louisiana that the Cajuns? But see, that story came over with the Cajuns from France, and the legend came from France. It's not like they saw that animal here. It's a legend. It's something behind it.
it seems to be a Bigfoot type thing, or it is a Bigfoot and there's a Dogman type thing too. Um, but I do know, yeah, they see some wild nests down there in the bayous,
Mm.
and I
I
believe
just, I just don't. I don't know. It's just for me, the dog man is a unique creature, I guess. To me, I, it's hard for me to comprehend it. It's like believing in werewolves, like somebody changing from a human form into a werewolf form for their bones to change in the skin. It's not going to happen. It's, this is not real, and I don't know. I don't know what people are seeing.
I don't know either, but like, the skinwalkers and the dark-eyed children, and there's so many other things out there that
Well,
regular people who, why would they have any reason to make it up to be made fun of? But I think that nowadays more people are coming out with their encounters. Let's see, we know there is a whole spiritual world aligned with ours that we have no clue.
now the Indians talk about Sasquatch. They talk a lot about Sasquatch, and every Indian tribe has some name, has some dealing, has some. But I have yet to hear of an Indian tribe with dealing with an actual dogman.
Oh,
I just don't. It's possible. Maybe I just haven't heard about it, but it's
well,
not
they do.
something.
I know that a lot of Native American tribes do have the skinwalkers
Yeah.
that they worry over and be careful of, and but yeah, I'm not quite sure about the Dogman either. Um, maybe we should get what is her name? Brenda Harris
I wonder who that
on
is.
one.
Who's that?
Uh, Brenda Harris is a Native American out west, and she knows a lot about the Native American culture, the folklore, um, Bigfoot, and all whatnot. And
You
she
know,
kind of worries about the Bigfoot are aggressive, and in some places
yeah,
taking cattle and whatnot, like we talked to Zach about.
right.
And she said, and this is, these people's livelihoods. And it's got to be, they're not, she's kind of says, the Bigfoot is not the wonderful, peaceful, flower eating, huggy thing you want to believe.
You ain't Harry Henderson's on.
It can be mean and it tears up people's things. and their livestock and whatever. And she like would come on one night. She's got a lot of good information and is a very smart and informative person.
And I also wonder if people
Uh,
are seeing bears. I mean, bears can walk on two legs. They got snouts and the canines and the ears are on top. And if it's a bear that's skinny, and he stands up and it's dark out and you see this thing walking towards you, you gotta wonder: are people seeing that?
Maybe on occasion, but I don't think every time, Steve. I think I have heard and read stories of broad daylight,
Yeah.
rail tracks in the backyard, on the side of the road, and some may be, just like Bigfoot and any other thing. Um, some things are misidentification, but all of these people cannot be lying and making it up. Some may be, but a lot of it has got to have some truth to it.
Well, has anybody said that they've had an aggressive encounter with a dog man?
Oh yeah. I heard a story on Brenton Sawin. Um, a bad um story about an old man that lived out in the woods. The fella telling the story was visiting his dad, who kind of lived out in the woods, but um, this fella that lived a few more miles out anyway had come to visit or something. I don't know, but anyway, the he had been having problems. The fella telling the story was said the older fella that lived further out in the woods had talked to his dad or granddad a little bit about it, and there were things happening, and he called one night and said, "Come help something," and said by the time they got 3 or 4 miles over there, the MIB were there, the sheriff, the whole bunch, and the poor fella his door had been beat down, and he had been killed in his house. And the dude telling the story said they wouldn't let them get but so close, but he saw big darn um dog tracks, basically what looked like a dog track in the yard. It's on Brenton Sawin. I'll give Brenton a shout out. Brenton Sawin. Um, he has some wonderful shows. BrentSawin. And lose you later. No.
No.
Let's, but yes, I have heard some very aggressive dogman stories, pulling screens off windows, trying to open windows. Um, and something that I found this evening, um, when I was researching a little, is that it seems that um, not always, but sometimes
I mean, you broke up a little bit. Hold on. Try it again.
Okay.
There you go.
People that have had an encounter with the dog man, not all of them, but a lot of them seem to have another one later in life, even living at a different place.
Huh.
And this fellow that I was listening to his story today, he was in Georgia, moved to South Carolina, and he had one encounter in Georgia and moved 300 or 400 miles and had two encounters at the place they moved in South Carolina.
Wow.
And North Carolina has had some Dogman encounters.
Huh.
So I think I've not gone and looked this or whatever, but it sounds like they're pretty much everywhere, you know.
Yeah, I thought Dogman was more Wisconsin, Michigan, and I know I believe I've heard Texas, and down that way. I didn't know it was East Coast as far as down there, below where I'm
Mm.
at, down this area. I just I don't recall hearing much about it, but I'm not saying it's not possible. I just haven't heard of it.
Well, I may have heard of a few encounters in North Carolina in the past, but in my little research I did today, I heard another um encounter in North Carolina and a lot of encounters in Pennsylvania
Hmm.
and South Carolina and Georgia. So it sounds like they're pretty much everywhere. Like Bigfoot is everywhere in the United States and Canada and Alaska, but and like the only place is like Hawaii.
Yeah, it's not
You
supposed to
know,
be in Hawaii.
maybe
I'm
that they think, but
in a straight line. I guess I'm about 2 miles from Pennsylvania, 3 miles from Pennsylvania. I'm only a few miles from Pennsylvania. It's not many.
he said, hang on, I wrote it down. Um, Southeast, Squintsville,
Hmm.
Southeast Pennsylvania.
Huh. That might be through Lancaster.
Oh, now see, my friend, the trucker, goes right, he does, right near Lancaster to load and unload. Maybe next time I ride, if we happen to have the time, we could go through Squintsville.
That's all Amish country over there towards Lancaster. A lot of farmland.
Oh yeah,
Well, that's like Wisconsin. Wisconsin's a lot of farmland too. A lot of farmland.
yeah, with woods in between,
Yeah.
and they can hide in those woods.
They don't need much. Water and food. Cover, water, and food. As long as they got cover.
Exactly. And where's Zach? Ohio,
No, Zach's Illinois.
Illinois.
Southern Illinois.
But same thing. A lot of farmland with
Yeah.
hide
He's,
or
he's
a goat,
probably,
whatever.
I'm not sure if he has, the next time I talk to him, I ask him if there's any dogman sightings around where he's at. You never mentioned it, but that doesn't mean it's not there.
Yeah, he's not mentioned it, but even if he hasn't seen any, he may have heard of some. I just seems to me, man, I don't know. I As much as I would love to see a Sasquatch, I'm scared to death to see a Sasquatch. I think I'd rather see a Sasquatch than a Dogman. They just seem
You know what? I tell you what, I I wouldn't shoot a Sasquatch unless it was a life or death situation, self
I
defense.
agree. I
But if
agree.
I saw a dog man, I don't know. I don't know if I think I shot at that or not.
I agree. Because, they sound so
That would have to.
they sound so much creepier, scarier, evil, something.
Oh,
Um,
that might have to be a proof thing. I might have to. Because, I don't know.
one of the stories I watched today, a man, and he had, I think, a couple of guys with him. I think this was Pennsylvania. Um, and they saw a dog man right there. And he said he aimed a gun at him. He didn't want to kill him. He wasn't planning to kill him, but just in case. And he said that, in his opinion and in his mind, the dog man was looking straight at the gun and began to back up, like the dog man knew what it was.
See, I don't understand that either. How would an animal know what a gun is unless they're around it and see it and know it makes a noise? I mean, they're not. An animal's not going to know it projects anything. It's the bad, loud noises. Like my dogs, if I take a gun out, they start knowing. They know a noise is coming, so they act funny.
Hmm.
But unless that thing has been around somebody shooting a gun, how would it know what a gun is?
Unless,
Unless it's been shot at.
exactly, or if it has seen deer get killed, if it's been in the woods lurking and, seen deer get shot or other thing, and associates the noise. I mean, I don't know. But this dude, anyway, in his story, said that he aimed the gun at the thing. He didn't want to shoot it. He wasn't planning to shoot it unless for some reason he had to. But the thing, he said he really felt like the thing was looking right at the gun and began to back up. And backed up several steps and turned and walked off. And I believe he said uh, another couple of them that they had not seen then turned and walked off, and they saw them then.
Hmm.
And he said he took it as they knew what the gun was, and they just backed on up, backed on off. But he didn't know. He didn't. He didn't know. He didn't know what was in their mind. But that was how. Maybe if it was a human you were aiming a gun at, that would back up and turn and walk off or whatever. But there were like a couple more that they had not even seen
Huh.
till they turned and walked too. And like I said, he didn't want to shoot. but he was prepared if he had to. He said it just did not. He didn't say, a lot of people who have guns will say, if they're pointing at a Bigfoot, will say it looked too human. I couldn't shoot it because it just looked too human. And he didn't say that, but he said that it seemed to him, looking in the face of the thing, that the creature knew what the gun was
You
and backed on up, and so he didn't.
growing up on a farm, I've walked into pig pens, put a
Yeah,
pig up, put the gun to the pig, ran to the pig's head. Pig never, pig looked right at me. They didn't know what that gun was. I walked into a pasture with a beef, put the gun right up. That beef didn't know what that gun was, and they shot the beef in the head. It didn't know.
I
So
grew up on a
at
farm.
some point, that animal had to have known or seen someone or had been shot at, or it had some contact with a gun in
Intelligent.
some way to know that it made a loud noise or it wasn't something good.
Yeah, so, yeah, at least some comprehension. Because I was raised on a farm too, Steve. And of course, we had hog killings and killed chickens and cows and, whatever every year and, you know, to eat and whatnot. And so I know what you're saying. So to have, but like I said, he said it seemed to him that the creature was looking at the gun.
Hmm.
Now, that's just one story, and, who knows? But he didn't shoot it, and the creature turned around, backed up, turned around, and said then, yeah, a couple more come out of hiding and walked, you know, back with him. I
Wow.
think this. I think this was Pennsylvania. I'm not sure, but I don't know what they are, but they scare the heck out of me.
Yeah, it makes me wonder. When you're in the woods hunting or in the woods hiking, you never know what's watching you or what's around you. If it's hiding and just observing you, unless it moves or really makes a noise for you to see it, you just never know.
Exactly.
I've walked up, I've stepped on a covey of quail. I mean, I've stepped right into the middle, and they fly off, scared the hell out of me.
Yeah.
You know. And then I've walked up on deer, and I've never even saw the deer until I walked up on it. Uh, so
I know.
animals have great camouflage. They have a great way of blending in.
Yes, they do. And Bigfoot and Dogman, if he's exists, all of, and they do too. They can stand still. I've got a Australian Terrier. He's a rescue dog, and he's about 11 or 12 now. And he has been the best little dog. And he's full blooded, had papers, and his breeder moved away and left all the dogs in little metal cages.
Jeez.
Anyway, and we got him. He was about a year and a half old. He had been rehabilitated, and let's start. He was bought for stud, but anyway, he will sit. When we lived in the mountains, we're at the coast now, but when we lived in the mountains, we have chipmunks. And we kind of lived on a hill, and then there was the house and another hill. We had the little cute chipmunks like Chip and Dale. And that dog would sit and look in a chipmunk hole for 2 hours and never move.
Yeah.
He would stare. You could call him, Fergus, you want a snack? Fergus, you want cheese? Fergus. He would
Where'd that
stare
chipmunk?
into that damn hole. And if he can do that 2 damn hours, why can't a deer, a Bigfoot, a dogman, anything else can stand still or lay still, in the woods?
Oh yeah.
And bless his heart, he was so cute staring into them damn holes waiting for a chipmunk. Thank God he only caught one or two, because it broke my heart when he did.
Yeah, that's Jackie's favorite around here too, chipmunks.
I love the chipmunks.
We got them. She calls them bumper cars because when they run around, the tail sticks straight up in the air like a bumper car.
Yeah, just like Chip and Dale. But they can sit out in the woods, and any animal, and be still for long periods of time. You can walk right by them and not see them. And that's the thing with Bigfoot and the other. And one of my sayings has been for a long time, well, I've been hunting for 35 years and I never saw a Bigfoot. Well,
Well, ain't never seen you.
I was going to say, how many Bigfoot have seen you?
Yeah, exactly.
Might be none, might be 10. You don't know.
That's right. Absolutely right.
But anyway, yeah, the Dogman is a real mystery and a scary one too.
Maybe one day the mystery will be solved. Hopefully.
You remember what their saying is? God reveals.
Wait a minute, you broke up again.
I said our saying is God reveals all in His time,
Yeah.
not our time, His time.
Yep.
So before we hang up, let me glance over my notes. And see. Oh, this is one of the things, Steve, that's interesting. Um, I'm not sure where this fella was that was telling the story, but he said that a dog man, and that I was kind of talking in between.
Sorry.
He had seen a dog man out in the woods, and said it was on all fours, and when it stood up, he heard the hip bones pop.
It popped.
He said that he had a friend that had a shoulder that would go out, or he could pop out
Yeah.
of the
Yeah.
joint, pop back.
Yeah.
And he said it sounded just like that. He said,
You dislocated.
yeah. He said, but when he said the dog man was on all fours, and when it stood up, he could hear the hip bones pop.
Huh.
And that's something I have never heard
Yeah. I've never heard that either.
before. I wanted to add that in
Pretty wild.
before we wound up. Like maybe they're double jointed or something in
Man,
that
he's
in their
that close to it.
hindquarters.
Wow. You know, he had to be pretty damn close to it to hear that popping noise. 'Cause, I mean, that's not something that you want to hear at any distance.
No, you don't have to be standing right next to them, but you need to be fairly close.
Wow.
But if the two popped at once, and he didn't say if one popped and the other popped, or if they both popped at once, but he said he heard the pop. He said when it stood up from all fours and stood up to bipedal, he heard that pop, and it sounded just like when his friend's shoulder he could dislocate it and put it back. So he had heard the sound a number of times.
Maybe it was an old dog. Poor thing was old.
Maybe, yeah,
Need
maybe it
hip
was.
replacement.
Poor fella.
I shouldn't joke like that.
Anyway,
Yeah.
let's do another Dogman sometime, because
Oh yeah. There's plenty
with
more to do on it.
with school starting and all of that, I have just not had the time to devote to our shows like I should. And there is so much more about the Dogman that we can do. I want to do Salem too.
That's fine. Well, we'll tell you what. Let's do Salem next week.
All right, we'll do Salem next week, and I'll try to work on it between now and then.
That'll work. Salem and the witch trials and
Witch
all that good stuff
trials.
next week.
But I do,
Well,
yeah. But well, let's get back to the Dogman again in a few weeks too.
okay.
Cool deal.
It works.
All right, we're
Well,
gonna.
ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us this evening. We appreciate it. And y'all have a great weekend, and God bless y'all. And please don't forget to like it, subscribe it, share it, and enjoy it.
Thank you, everybody. God bless.